Hello students, I am Assistant Professor Shrutika Kadam from Professor Sambhajirao Kadam College, Devur. First of all, welcome to our Bridge Course lecture series, and today's lecture is third lecture of our series. Today's topic is mechanics. In previous lecture, we have learned about mechanics. In previous presentation, I am taking 2 points, motion and types of motion. In this presentation, I am taking laws of motion. We can study about this law of motions. In this presentation, I am take 3 laws of motion. First law, second law and third law. This law developed by Sir Isaac Newton. So, this law also known as Newton's law of motion. Now, we can study this law of motion. But first we need to define the word force. Student, what cause object to move? How cause of a motion of object or body? Behind of any movement of object and body is two forces. One is push and another is pull. Force measured in newtons. Force may be balanced or unbalanced. Guys, you must play tug of war so long as forces applied by both sides are equal, that is, balanced. The center of the rope is static in spite of applied forces. On other hand, when forces unequal, that is unbalanced, a net force get applied in the direction of the greater force and the center of the rope shifts in that direction. Newton's first law of motion. Statement of this law: an object continues to remain at rest or in state of uniform motion along a straight line unless an external unbalanced force acts on it. See, when an object is at rest or in uniform motion along a straight line, it does not mean that no force is act on it. Actually, there are a number of forces it acting on it, but they can cancel. So, the net force is zero. Newton's first law explains the phenomenon of inertia. That is, the inability of an object to change its state of motion on its own. So, this law also called as law of inertia. It also explains the unbalanced force which cause a change in state of an object at rest or in uniform motion. In this slide, I gives one link. This link explain the example of Newton's first law of a motion in action. Force. Force is equal to mass into acceleration. See, in this slide, I am give some work for you. This example solve in your journal as a homework. Second law of motion. The statement of second law is the rate of change of momentum is proportional to the applied force and the change of momentum occurs in direction of the force. See, second law says that the acceleration happens when a force acts on a mass. Riding your bicycle is good example of this law of motion of work. Your bicycle is the mass and your leg muscle pushing on the pedal of your bicycle is the force. See, in this slide I am giving one more example for you. Example is a 25-gram object with an acceleration of 4 meter square will have force of So in this example use force formula. Force formula is force is equal to mass into acceleration. Mass is 25 gram and acceleration is 4 meters square. So our force is 100 Newton. Also, I am one picture give in this slide. This is the example of second law. Third law of motion. Statement of this law: every action force has equal and opposite reaction force which act simultaneously. Students, we have learned about force and its effect on an object through Newton's first law and second law of motion. However, in nature, force cannot act alone. Force is a reciprocal action between two objects. Force are always applied in pair. When one object applies in force on another object, the latter object also simultaneously applies a force on the former object. The forces between two objects are always equal and opposite. This idea is expressed in Newton's third law of motion. The force applied by the first object is called the action force, and while the force applied by the second object on the first is called as a reaction force. In this slide I am giving balloon example for third law of motion. See, in this slide I am giving some homework to you. Write Newton's three law of motion in your words.